at the end of the day, when it comes down to the multifamily piece, I'm looking at, hey, what happens if rents drop by 10%? Is that deal still going to pencil? You'd like to think rents are going to keep going up and that kind of thing. But if affordability is squeezed because of the food problems, the gasoline problems, and general inflation on everything else that they're, dealing with, then are they going to be able to afford your rent? Are they going to be able to afford that, continued increase? And so I think long term, we may have an issue where, rents start flattening out just due to affordability and rents across the board. And so that risk to me is saying, well, what happens if rents drop by 10% and and cap rates actually decompress and go from maybe a 6 cap to a 7 cap in a market or something like that, as far as market value goes. And then what does the cash flow look like if the rents dropped and you have, an increase in interest rate over here as well on top of that? That's like the perfect storm, right? If something like that occurred, obviously you have cap rate compression on top of a decline in cash flow, on top of an interest rate increase over here. Are we losing our money? Are we leveraging low enough to where we still are cash flowing and being able to ride out that storm? Because that's what I'm looking for. Can we ride out that storm? Because long term, inflation will probably continue to take off, but I want to make sure that in the short term volatility that may occur, are we going to be okay on a cash flow standpoint? I think that's super important when you're going into investing right now. Is yes, use leverage, because cash flow is, the cash flow is much higher when you utilize leverage, and you're decimating that debt when inflation occurs. Leverage conservatively so that way you're not taking a risk when there is that market volatility. Something I learned after quitting my job in 2006, when right before the real estate market occurred, when cash flows got squeezed, rents went down, everything went down across the board, and if I had assets at the time that were performing better, you could just hold long term and not have to, not have to squeeze every penny out of these things to make that deal work,